Coming up to 10 minutes to 6 this Thursday evening, the government's refusing to pay higher compensation to people infected with HIV and hepatitis C in the 70s and 80s. Nearly 5,000 people were accidentally infected when they were given blood from donors in the United States. In the Commons, several MPs called for payouts to match those made in Ireland, where they're higher, but the Health Minister Anne Milton refused on cost grounds. In the Commons, the West Worcestershire Conservative MP Harriet Baldwin told the story of a local woman who was caught up in the tragedy.
My attention has been brought to this issue, as it has been by so many of my colleagues, by the impact on the life of my constituent, Colette Wintle. Colette was born in 1959 and was diagnosed in 1962 with haemophilia. And when she went to have her tonsils out in 1976, she was given these American blood products, which first caused her infection with hepatitis. Then in 1982 she was given factor VIII concentrate, which infected her. This was at a hospital in Kent, and infected her with hepatitis C. And in 1985 at a hospital in London she was once again given treatment with blood products, which made her very ill with hepatitis C, although mercifully she did not contract HIV. Subsequently, she's been so weak with illness that she had to stop work at the age of 38. She subsequently contracted cirrhosis of the liver, and she lives in fear of developing liver cancer in her damaged liver. Now, we all know it's not possible for doctors to undo Colette's health damage. It's not possible for her ever to be adequately compensated for the harm that was done to her by the infected blood products. The question is what we should do now as a society to compensate someone like Colette and her family.
And Colette Wintle is on the line right now. Colette, good evening to you.
Hello, good evening.
How are you at the moment?
Very tired, exasperated with the government's response today, particularly in light of the fact that when I met with the Minister in July, she gave me confirmation of her desire to help the community find closure to this dreadful scandal. Far from bringing closure, she has reignited the fury and anger among the haemophilia community, and that there's a deep sense of injustice still, and that we feel yet another opportunity has been lost to actually addressing this. And I have to say that I find that the poor response today flies in the face of what David Cameron talked about in his speech, when he spoke of living in a fair Britain, fairness for all. There is nothing fair about any of this, particularly because this was not a medical accident. It was, in fact, an avoidable one, a treatment disaster that's never been seen before, which should have been avoided. And the safety violations that have taken place that, fail to protect people like myself have never, ever been put right.
You must be living in fear all the time.
Constantly, every day, from the moment that I wake up until the moment I shut my eyes at night, I wonder how long have I got? When am I going to wake up one day and find that my liver has subsequently developed a tumour? And that is the stage that I'm at now, which for my family is devastating and is dreadful for them because it's a living hell.
You can't stop fighting. What are you going to do?
Well, I have to give credit to my MP, Harriet Baldwin, for her representation today. And obviously, she is assisting me as best she can. But I will be engaging again with the Health Minister. She did actually email me last night and, gave me the impression that she was willing to engage in ongoing discussion. I sincerely hope that she's not going to let me down on that, since, I feel I've been let down on every other issue that I covered with her. And, the government simply have yet again not gone far enough to not just take responsibility for this. I mean, this isn't a question of us saying, well, we're going to blame you. We acknowledge this is a failure of past governments. But there is a moral duty here, and this is something that no successive government seems to be willing to take on and deal with, and that's deeply disappointing.
Have you received any compensation?
The only payment I have received was a one-off payment from the Skipton Fund. I do not receive ex gratia payments like the HIV people have had for the last 20 years. The Minister has said she understands there is a discrepancy and that to bring us up to a level playing field, people with hepatitis C require to, I would say, retrospectively be paid what we've not had for the last 20 years, but it still in no way can possibly go far enough in terms of what we should have had. I will say one thing about today. We have phenomenal cross-party support, and it was recognised by the majority of MPs in that room today, in the main chamber, that this is a terrible wrongdoing, a scandal, and it is long overdue in sorting out. This is an issue of money, and sadly, this is where the immorality comes in, because this should not be about money. This should be about putting right a disaster that should have been dealt with decades ago.
Colette, thank you for joining us this evening. That's Colette Wintle, who's one of nearly 5,000 people accidentally infected when they were given blood from donors in the United States in the 1970s and 1980s, here on BBC Hereford and Worcester.